onto something here, you know. Andreas, please jump in, yeah.
I'd like to offer slightly different perspective though.
Yeah.
There is this new age group that is called millennials. These are the people that is born 1990 and above, I think, right? Most like all of us here.
Like all of us.
Like all of us here. These people actually spend 35% of their time watching TV online more than offline. And a lot of them is actually using their smartphone. And there are 71 million people in Indonesia is actually doing that. And then I would like to shift into the concept of traditional revenue, like Kodak and the film business, and the new revenue. I think with the ever-present smartphone, I think the change with, if Pak Jamie here can build the infrastructure fast enough beyond the 400 cities, province, and kabupaten in Indonesia, I think we're on into some real new revenue soon enough, you know.
I fully agree. And Ed, would you like to comment?
No, I mean, I don't dispute it. We've been talking mobile. So I've been here 5 years. We've talked mobile. And mobile accounts for that much of the spend. It will definitely happen, but what you've got to remember, you've got behavioural aspects here. So you've got marketing directors with a lot of pressure on them to deliver. And they know that historically, you put your money on TV, it delivers. For the reasons I've already told, that Indonesians are very receptive to brand messaging. How much of a risk are they wanting to take to test and learn rather than something that has been proven in the past? Now, I guarantee you're right, that the time will come, but it's when that inflection point kicks in. Once it goes, it's going to go off the Richter scale.
Sure. I think it's very interesting that we have views which are coming at it from different angles. Because, you know, if all of the people in this room agreed with each other, we don't need to have a discussion, right? So I can see Nikhil is itching to jump in. Because, Nikhil, what do you see in this whole game of monetizing through advertising? Because you are the disruptor in the room who has been trying to change that and bring that inflection point coming on. How do you see it? What are the things you want to do? How are you going to show Ed that it's going to happen much earlier than he thinks so?
No, I think there are two sort of points being made. Right? One is, I think consumption is already moving heavily towards mobile. I have 3 kids, 2 of them are teenagers, and they only watch Netflix, YouTube, and Facebook.
They didn't watch VIU?
Was that?
They didn't watch VIU.
We don't have VIU in the US.
VIU is only in Asia.
Only in Asia.
Once it launches, then
Not
it
even the
will
beta model, the beta version.
And they do all of this on their mobile phone, and they don't watch any linear TV at all. They have TVs, but they choose not to watch it. So it's already happening. I think the separate point is how quickly will spends on advertising move from TV to mobile.
And why is it not happening? Why is it not happening?
By the way, it is. I'm talking about Indonesia specifically.
Yeah.
So you look globally, many markets, absolutely it is. But there's slightly different dynamics going on here, which, you know, as I say, culturally, it's behind the curve.
Andreas, would you like to jump in?
I think part of the reason that the adoptions is not as fast as we want to be is that the spread of broadband internet in Indonesia right now is only around 400 cities.
Yes.
In which out of the 400 cities, 300 is actually having the benefit of 4G. Us in Jakarta, we may not feel it because in Jakarta, the speed can be up to 7 megabytes per second. All right, but there are areas called broadband in Papua, which is running 320 kbps still, right? But like I said, if Pak Jamie actually able to lay more and more fiber optics, I think the adoptions can be a lot faster. Look at their investment in IndiHome today.
Actually, to Ed's point, this is exactly the whole issue about free-to-air dominates so much that everybody else is way behind on the game.
Correct.
And it's going to take a while. So maybe we should hear from Pak Jamie about what is Telkom doing about it? It's not only Telkom and IndiHome, but it's also Telkomsel. You know, the wireless and wired solutions that are coming up.
Yes.
Well, if we pay attention to the amount of people or number of people who are accessing the streaming content, the number is actually very high, right? I just happened in a very remote areas. We have to take a boat from capital city of Maluku province for 45 minutes using speedboat, you know. And in that areas, still many teenagers are using smartphone and doing all this internet streaming. So it's not a matter of access. Of course, we are still, not only telecom, all network operators are developing the networks to the as remote as possible. And in that case, we can probably say that telecom is the most advanced providers who has this commitment to develop access network to the very remote area of Indonesia. But then again, the distribution of the population is 60% in Java areas. So if we can cover Javas, why don't the traffic also resembles the similar figures, right? So, sorry, not the traffic which we are concerning, we are talking about the digital revenue stream, right?
Yeah.
I think we have to look it a bit deeper about to the what's so-called sales funneling process. What really happened is these young millennial kids, of course, they are watching video streaming everywhere, but they are not the decision maker who can make the purchasing decisions. And the advertiser really pay attention to that. If they can attract these young people to watch that their advertising, the next question is, are they going to buy? At the end of the day, they may ask to their parents, and the parents will say, hey, this is up to us to decide whether we should buy that product or not. And the advertising agency has done a very good job to keep the advertisers in their comfort zone. You know, they have these very good interactions for many years, more than 2 decades, I think, to convince the advertiser not to spend too much money on this digital advertising. That is very good for creating awareness, but not very good to make sales, you know. So on the other hand, these free-to-air companies, free-to-air station, name it in Indonesia, every one of them, Metro TV, Kompas TV, RCTI, they already have digital medias. OKZone, MetroTVNews.com, Kompas.com. And what they are doing, they are bundling the digital advertising with the conventional advertising. And we are not sure when they put this in their financial report, if the digital, you know, the digital spending is really separated in the accounting report, in the financial report. So a lot deeper issues going on there, and we cannot just simplify the issues into the very top high level perspective, because there are behavior, there are attitude, there are confidence, there are interactions. Some digital some digital medias that I know, they are having difficulties to sell their ads, even they have a very good traffic. And the reason is because they are not very close to the media agencies, which in turn, the media agencies doesn't want to promote them, you know, to the advertisers. So there are more practical issues going on there.
Sure. Actually, that's a good, interesting point. It looks like, you know, this whole industry of advertising is ready for disruption.
I felt like needed a Donald Trump intervention then.
So actually the question goes back to Ed. Because you are doing so you know, a very good job, then you get stuck in your own current position. Zone. Yes.
But Ed, what would be the motivations for an agency to switch between free-to-air and digital? Would there be, because as long as the money is the same, does it matter to you whether it goes to?
Absolutely does. I mean, I can't get into the specifics of sure. Where we make our money, but it's absolutely in our interests to shift money to digital. So the perception is completely incorrect. No offense, but it's completely incorrect. A lot of this comes down to a lack of education. A lot of this goes down to what I said before about behavioural traits. You know,
I'm about to jump in after that.
The pressure to deliver results. So it is difficult. I think the key thing that hasn't been mentioned yet is about measurement. Now, when you put $1 on TV, you know exactly what that's going to deliver. even though on digital you can measure very, very accurately, like for like measurement, apples for apples, is still something that the industry is working through. So for a marketing team, a brand team, to be able to say, if I put $1 on digital versus $1 on TV, what's it going to get me in terms of my return on investment? At the moment, it's still questionable. And I'm afraid data statistics around digital and digital spend, it's all, you know, I see completely different numbers across the board. Okay. You know, we've got issues around viewability, we've got issues around fraud. There's a lot of unanswered questions still in the area of digital. But what we need is our brand teams, we need our planning, agency planners, to be able to make a like-for-like comparison, to then go to the brand teams, the ones with the dollars, and say, you're going to get this back if you spend this on digital versus the exact same number if you'd spent it on TV. And it's still something that we're having to work through as an industry.
Okay.
But that's it. That will make a key difference to the speed with which the spend dollars follow consumer behavior, which is already there.
Yeah. Before I go on to Webby, I want to just follow up that with a question of, would the type of advertisers change, therefore? Because maybe the large advertisers seem to be following what they're familiar with, and they are also waiting to switch, as you can say, that it is in their interest as well. But does this open up the market for maybe the smaller budget advertisers, many of them who are not today advertising?
I think it's a fair comment. You know, if you've got a small budget, you need to be much more targeted, much more focused, and your objectives will probably be slightly different, and you can achieve a lot more with a smaller budget or digital. What I would say though is the large players, the likes of a Unilever, a Procter & Gamble and Co, are really driving the digital agenda. I mean, about 5 years ago, the way it happened is that Global would tell their local markets, you have to put 5% of your money on digital.
Sure.
That's it. Now, people are getting more confident about it, and they're actually driving up their spends on their own. But as I say, on average, it's still only about 12, 13% here. So
sure.
it's a little way off.
So for the numbers actually to get there, we still have this issue about adoption. And we heard from Jemmy about how connectivity is going to change the game. We heard about how the platform and technology is going to help more people get on, even if it is low bandwidth. But from your view, Febi, how does Samsung see adoption of usage of smartphones in its way? Because you have a whole range of products, the very expensive ones to the very low-cost ones as well.
Yeah.
How do you see your drive of Samsung taking market share by having adoption to smartphones in the future?
Yeah. First of all, as we discussed about how we can keep the traditional advertising versus using the digital, and then move on using this digital space for the entertainment. For Samsung itself, what I learned so far, how I can say that actually we can split between this traditional TV versus the mobile advertising. Because believe it or not, Indonesia consumer now using a dual screen every single day. They watch TV at the same time they consume something from the smartphone. And it happens not only for the younger generations, but also like almost to everyone, probably also for us.
Yeah.
So we see that this using the smartphone is to build engagement more and more, because the smartphone is a personal thing for the consumers. And how we use the smartphone from technology standpoints is not only for giving the informations, but we also see that what we can do more, like your questions, how we can increase our market share, for instance. So one thing that we did, and it's fortunate for us that we work together with VIU in Indonesia. When VIU's about to come to Indonesia, we have a discussion and we talk about what we can do together. We see that using this platform is actually because people will engage with the content and the device, they will come to the loyalty part of the users. So one big things that I see why our collaboration between Samsung and VIU works last time, because we can choose the right content for the right target audience. So because we're not working for every single product devices, but in selected segment. So the key now working on the digital space is all about contents. We can talk about the platform, we can talk about the money that we spend between traditional versus digital, but the biggest challenge that we face now is the content itself. Because sometimes people just think that I can use the video that I put on TV or on this big screen into the smartphone. That's not the case, because how consume is different. So now we need to have a group of people out there, the creative people, to start build the content for the mobile space.
Yeah.
That's, I think, also can be accelerate the growth of on this digital